Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, for the first race of the final season of the PCSRA Foster Series, powered by the WRA, getting set for 70 laps of racing here at the World Center of Racing. It's going to be a very fun race here tonight. Cody Majoric has been on the pole all week. He starts on the pole based off the qualifying. Matty Crenshaw alongside of him. And then our two dual winners, which is Emmanuel Hartnett and Brittany White in row number 2. There's the rest of your starting lineup. Carmen Alejandro had to change engines, so she was going to start at the rear of the field for this evening's race. Here's the sign we've been waiting for, 42 drivers. A beautiful night to go racing here this evening. This is the big day these drivers have been waiting for. 70 laps is what we have in store for you this evening. These drivers can only go 35 to 38 laps on a tank of fuel. So these drivers are going to have to make at least one pit stop here this evening. For the charter drivers, it is simple. If you win tonight's Daytona 500, you are locked into the playoffs, providing you remain in the top 30 in the points table. Because knowing those go or go home drivers, they would like to play spoiler and go to victory lane, because we know the points are going to get shaken up after next week's race at Nazareth. The Pontiac Grand Prix American Pace Car will pull off onto the track. It is time for the final season of the Foster Series. It's the farewell tribute to this beautiful series, and the 2026-7 Daytona 500 is green. Or the 2026 500 is green. You get what I mean. Down the back straightaway for the first time here tonight. Luis Hernandez going to take the race lead. And Luis Hernandez will lead the first lap of the new season of the Foster Series, or should I say the final season. All that on the line, a win, a berth into the playoffs. But remember, if you are a charter driver and you win this race, you need to hope and pray you remain in the top 30 in the points to have your win count for a spot into this season's chase for the championship. Adina Almas leads that lap. A lot of rookies, a lot of inexperienced drivers. Dina Almas, the rookie from Hungary. The retired European champion from 2023. "22 years old. She lives northeast of Budapest. She's almost into. She lives near Budapest, which is the capital city of Hungary. The only Hungarian driver we have in this field. Was drafted by DVR World NOS Racing back in 2021. Now coming here to America to be one of the drivers running for the Rookie of the Year honors. Anthony Ricci in second, A McShane in third, Riley Andersen and Ashlyn Wright in fifth. They're three wide right behind K Langeland for sixth. Lap 16, we're going to do a silent lap to honor Greg Biffle. Think it would be fitting to do a lap 16 silent lap to honor Greg Biffle. Riley Andersen in second. Riley last season, of course, when she was in the Foster Series, she was driving for World NOS Racing. Now she's driving for RFK Racing in the final season of the Foster Series. We are here to close the book on what has been a great chapter of this series. A series that was not aired in 2010. Made its NR 2003 debut in 2016. Timmy Turner won the most chaotic Daytona 500 in history. Will forever go down as one of the most historical wreckfest of the Daytona 500. That was before I accidentally deleted my data. And now here we are in 2026. We are running the final ever Foster Series Championship. The schedule, by the way, is in the Discord for anyone asking. Let me tell you what the first couple of races we got coming up for this series. We got Nazareth next week, a debuting track. Martinsville, the short track, the paperclip in Virginia. The Southern... excuse me. The Southern 500 at Darlington. That will be a fun race for all of us to enjoy. Atlanta, Texas, Papyrus, our first road course race. Talladega would be our next restrictor plate race. We're going to use the 2009 version of Talladega that I like. That does bring out cautions. Rockingham, one of my favorite tracks. And if what we saw from the Winston Cup Series is any indication, it will be always chaos. Gateway, we're going to run the day version of Gateway. As I'm recording this, I still need to download that track, but I'm still going to do Gateway. Dover, the 2.5 mile Pocono Raceway, and a track that nobody has ever heard of that I used to run that track back in the day of this series. Lowell Super Speedway, which is a bank racetrack almost like Auto Club. Which, by the way, the last time we raced here was back in 2011. Trust me, you're going to enjoy that race because that's a banked racetrack. It's aggressive banking, almost like, and it's similar to like Auto Club in Michigan, except with a higher banking. Wait till you see that race. I mean, that race is really good. All-Star Weekend at the Coca-Cola, the Coke 600. Who would not want the Coke 600? Right after All-Star break, and that is when we begin the chase to the chase. North Wilkesboro, that is a short track. Of course, ironically, we're running North Wilkesboro for the final season, which I don't think we've ever done a race at North Wilkesboro. That should be fun. I won at North Wilkesboro before in another NR series. We go to California for the first of 2 trips, Sonoma, then to Kansas, Chicagoland. That'll be Kyle Langland's home race. And then the last time I get to say this, the hashtag PCSRA goes west at Las Vegas Phoenix Auto Club. I have not made a decision what version of Las Vegas, Phoenix, or Auto Club I'm going to be using. Or if I'm going to change or no. Actually, I had Lowell on there twice. There we go. Then it'll be Auto Club. And then we're going to Arizona Speedway. I have run Arizona Speedway on a track. It's a 1.5 mile track, almost identical to Las Vegas. Then the road course of Watkins Glen, Michigan, Hillside 8 Bowl would be the regular season finale. Then the playoffs, which will have the 16 drivers battling for the chase for the championship as Adina Almas leads, and we're almost to that silent lap. Round of 16 will comprise of Loudon, New Hampshire at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the short track of Boston, which you guys saw that last week for the IndyCar World Series, and our first elimination race, the Brickyard 400. When the checker flag waves, 4 drivers will get eliminated. Then we'll have 2 night races, Kentucky, Richmond, and a wild card race. Yes, I have a dirt track, Buffalo Downs, which, by the way, will be on the Winston Cup schedule, which you'll get a little sneak peek, easy for me to say, on what kind of racing we're going to see. That'll be the second elimination race. 4 more drivers get eliminated. Then we have Oswego, Sebring, the new Sebring I just found on Wild Customs. Our final elimination race at Homestead before the Final 4 battle for the championship at the greatest NR super speedway ever, Zenjoltis. Trust me, you do not want to miss Zenjoltis. That is a track where terror can strike at any point. And that will be that is how the final season of Foster's will conclude. As the leaders are coming off of turn 4, ladies and gentlemen, John or Greg Biffle, here's lap number 16 as it's a silent lap. And we thank you for the silent lap number 16. On the dark day that was last year, where Greg Biffle lost his life, we send our condolences to his family. So you talk about the So I talked about the schedule just before the silent lap. A couple of things that catches my eye. The fact of having two dirt races back to back, one in an elimination race, that's a wild card for sure. But also opening it as the Elite Eight. That could be interesting how that race weekend will play out at Oswego. And most of these guys and gals have never raced on a dirt track like Oswego. I know they have in other NR series, but never in Foster. So that could be something I think could be really spicy. So, Sebring, hopefully it was not like what we saw in the IndyCar series race in the season opener this season. As the final ever Oreo Cup Series champion, Daniel Wooder is up here. Imagine the 20 car wins the championship in the final season of Foster's. Wouldn't that be something? And for one of these drivers that wins the Daytona 500, you will join an elite group of drivers that have won the Daytona 500. And out of the 42 drivers here, one of them is a former winner of the 500. This gal right here, Maddie Crenshaw, won the last ever Monster Energy Daytona 500 with this same race link we're running tonight, 70 laps. So she is the only former Daytona 500 winner out of everyone. So the odds of a new winner of the 500 is looking pretty promising. And how would it be if Maddie Crenshaw ends off the Daytona 500 as a back-to-back winner? As looks like that's the 19 of Mohammed Zain going for the race lead. Dina Almas, this is the most competitive she's been all week. Colleague never did well on qualifying day, but we know they can draft really well. This is going to be an interesting race we're going to have here. Knowing these drivers are going to have to make a pit stop. The other thing these drivers have got to be careful about, you see this yellow line? That is out of bounds. These cars cannot go below the yellow line to advance their position. They were told in the driver's meeting, if you go below the yellow line to advance your position, you're going to get penalized. So these drivers got to be a little careful about passing below the yellow line. Unless you're avoiding a wreck or you're going to pit road. Those are the only two things the officials can make an exception. But as long as you don't advance your position, you give it back, no harm, no foul. So these drivers got to be a lot smarter about this. We know we have a long way to go. course, after the dual races, the officials impounded these cars. So it's an impound race. Once you were done with your duels, you were not allowed to touch the car unless you were going to make air pressure adjustments and whatnot, which is fine. But these drivers did not touch their cars before this race, because all these cars got impounded after the duels. So once you were done with the duels, you were not allowed to touch the car until the first pit stop tonight. And that could be a factor in this race. So these drivers have got to be a little weary about that. The problem is with these drivers is that you only ran 20 laps, which is 50 miles. This is 175 miles. So you're running, as we technically would say, an extra 125 miles. So you're running like old school 125 miles. As we're about 10 to 15 laps away from what would be green flag pit stops, which we have not seen pit stops the 3 days of speed weeks we've had here. Got a couple of cars off the pace. The 36 of Brendan Rogers and the 47 of Alex Hawkins, they have lost the draft. And Brendan Rogers is about to go a lap down before we have a cycle of pit stops. That's a tough break for those drivers, especially Brendan Rogers, who raced his way in. Alex Hawkins, this is not what he needed, as he's nearing he's now half a lap down. As Kyle Langeland will now go the race lead. Kyle's raced in the Foster Series. Made the playoffs, got eliminated from the playoffs, so he hopes to do a lot better this time around. Of course, remember, I'm going old school with round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, or the Elite 8, and the Final 4. Hope Brendan's ready to make a pit stop very soon. Right now, the tires have been worn. These cars are slip sliding around. But remember, we're under the lights. The last 2 days, we've been running qualifying and the duels. Well, duel 1, that is, in daylight conditions. Those that ran the dual race last night, in duel number 2 especially, got this run with cooler track temperatures. So I bet those drivers that ran in duel 2 gave the people in duel 1 some advice on how you want to set up your car. And of course, the inside line is always the preferred line. Brendan Rogers about to go a lap down. That would give us a total of 41 drivers. Don't know if Brendan's lost a cylinder or what, but whatever the case, that is a tough break for the driver out of Front Row Motorsports. And Quentin Moore will now lead this race and put Brendan Rogers one lap down. So not really sure what is wrong with the Rudabush Ford out of Front Row Motorsports. That is a third ride, by the way. Alex Hawkins entering turn number 3. The field's about to enter turn 3. So Alex is about to go a lap down. I would assume he lost the draft. That would be my guessing. Of course, these drivers going to probably need to make sure not to slide their tires because you're going 185 or so miles an hour. You have to get down to 55 miles an hour to make a green flag pit stop. That ain't an easy trick here, folks. As we hear Alex Hawkins' engine. As Dina Almas leads. As they've already put Alex Hawkins now one lap down as a result. Riley Anderson now the race leads as we're about to hit the midway point of this race. course, I bet these drivers are now probably low on fuel and they might want to come to pit road right now. Because we are in the window for these drivers to make it the rest of the way. I was doing my playoff picks for NFL for the playoffs. Nobody coming to pit road, but they should come in this lap because we've hit the magic number. Riley Anderson. Up, got some takers. It's like Eric Stanbury, Luis Hernandez, and Lucy Granger. Those are the three that are coming to pit road. But they want to get the undercut strategy. They want to get those suckers full with fuel. So we have our first round of green flag pit stops. I would be amazed if somebody stays out longer than 37. You know, the fuel tanks are getting dry. These cars are going to have to come to pit road. It's like, here they come. Remember, you got to make sure you don't get damage. Got some drivers slowing down. Sean Artson, Adina Almas. Had some contact up here. And now these drivers are about to run low on fuel. This is why I don't like the part of staying out longer. Because if you stay out longer, you're going to pay the price. And I think some of those drivers back there that are running really slowly, they're in danger of running out of fuel. Senor Sean and company coming out. They got to come to pit road right now. It's like, here they come. Troy Kane's going to stay out, which I don't know. Oh, Jacob Foster ran the back of Cody Majoric. Is there damage to the 11? Yes, there might be a little bit of a hood buckle on the Progressive Chevrolet. Jacob couldn't get slowed down quick enough. All these guys that did not pit, I don't like the strategy. They made it to lap 40. I don't like the strategy. Going past 40 laps. Emily Anderson's coming back in. So she might go a lap down as a result. Oh, boy. Brendan's in. Sam Davis is in. Didn't the 60 make a pit stop or no? Oh, she must have got into a pit lane collision, if I recall correctly. I think she had an unscheduled pit stop. I don't understand why she's coming back in. So she will fall a lap down as a result. And I was just talking about, drivers need to be careful coming on the pit road. And, well, you saw our first demonstration on that. But how much damage is on the Progressive Chevrolet? Because I see a little bit of a hood buckle. And aerodynamics is key. So I think Jacob Foster might be in trouble. Got to be careful also coming off pit road. Saw it at Ricky Raceway as Jacob Foster is going to lose another position to Anthony Ricci. It's like they caught Arena McShane. And who's leading US? Mohammed Zain. As the 60 car, I need to see if Emily Andersen has returned to the race. The answer is no. Is there a reason for the Build Submarines Ford? Because I'm looking around the car, I don't see any damage, so I don't understand. Unless we're being told she's got a fuel issue. I don't know what the issue is. Whatever it is a tough break for Emily Andersen. And it will take her out of a good contention. All those drivers that came to pit road later gonna really pay the price for this. As Emily's still trying to get service. Looks like Cody Majoric. Yeah, there might be some rear end damage. He probably has some rear end damage. Let's see. Because he is way off the pace. Oh, that's why he's got right front damage on that Ziegler Chevrolet. Remember, he was the one that got hit by Jacob Foster. Looks like Foster's car is not too badly hurt. I do worry about the damage on the front end. Because it's going to affect the aerodynamics on the 11. So keep an update on the 60, why she's 4 laps down. I'm going to have to see if she had damage coming off of pit road is why she came back to pit road. I'm going to look at a replay to find out what happened. No, she just came back to pit road, so there might be something wrong on the 60 machine. We don't know what it is. That's not the start of the year for Emily Andersen, for the driver out of Alaska. That's a shame. It's like Matty Crenshaw, 17 seconds back. Is there any damage to the McDonald's Chevrolet? Or did she lose the draft? I think she might have lost the draft. This is not the start of the year for Matty Crenshaw. As Emily Andersen still sits on pit road. As they're trying to figure out what is wrong with that 60 bunch. Or what is wrong with the 60 car. Because apparently there would be no reason why she is still sitting on pit road. Could be a fuel leak, could be an oil leak, could be an engine. That's just an estimated guess. And unfortunately, her night is going to be done. Because she's 6 laps down. I don't think she's going to get back out on track to try to get some points. So Emily Andersen's night is done. So she'll end up dead last if they don't get that car back out on the track, which she still sits on pit road. Vanko Seaman's in trouble. Vanko Seaman has had troubles. It's like mechanical problems or something. He has teleported to pit road. Was running in the top 20 at the time of this. And now he is out of contention for a strong finish. So we're not entirely sure what is wrong with the Rush Truck Center's Dodge out of Front Row Motorsports. Not a good start to the season for the four, as they're about to catch our pole sitter, Cody Majork. Anthony Ricci about to lap some drivers in the process. As looks like I don't know if the 60 is going to get back out on the track or if they're going to push that car back behind the wall now the race. I wonder if the 4 picked up a puncture. As we're waiting to find out what is wrong with the Rush Truck Center's Dodge. That is a tough break for Vanko Seaman. As Majork is right now gone a lap down. So I bet you that contact with Jacob Foster did some damage to the back end of his machine. Not sure where the front end damage came from. Looks like Jacob Foster's damage is starting to hurt his handling. And you can see that little damage on the Progressive Chevrolet. So Jacob's dropping back like a rock. Vanko Seaman is going to return the race 3 laps down. I got to figure out what they did to his car. Think of it might have been an engine problem or something like that. Or something mechanical. We'll see if he's going to get back up to speed. But not the way you want to start the season. Look at all these guys down here at the back of the field. That's a lot of big teams that we expected to run up front. As Anthony Ricci leads this race. William Davis, Sean Ard, Emmanuel Hartnett, and Carmen Alejandro. Great run for a go-home Carmen Alejandro. Remember, Alejandro had to go to the rear of the field due to an engine change. Jessica Parker in 9th, and Samit Ozkan, who also started near the rear of the field, he's up there in the top 10. And it doesn't look like Emily Andersen is going to return the race, so it looks like Emily Andersen will fail the finish. So not the start of the season she was hoping for. So she'll look to bounce back next week at Nazareth. Vanko Seaman will be the next car to go a lap down. Jacob Foster's dropped all the way to 35th. We thought the damage was going to be much better. Apparently, it's gotten worse. So it looks like he's going to lose the draft, unfortunately. That's really a shame. Was running inside the top 10 before that before he ran to the back of Cody Majoric. And the words of William Brock, poor rookie. So, good thing for Jacob, this is only race 1 of a 36 race season. So, even if you don't get off to a good start, you still got plenty of races to work something out, get it together, and maybe a factor next week at Nazareth. Which I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what Nazareth's going to be like. It's a expect the unexpected, if you ask me. As William Davis currently is our race leader now, I want to remind everybody this copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of the World Racing Association for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction or rebroadcast or retransmitted or any other disseminations or the use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the World Racing Association is prohibited. Blue Hedgehog TV and the World Racing Association want to thank you fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Of course, William Davis last season, when he drove this car in the Oreo Cup Series, at least got a win. Unfortunately, it was not enough. He was not high enough in points to have his win count for a spot into the playoffs. Of course, the AI that I have for Daytona is 110. Next week, we're going to have it at 103. And there's also a restart zone. We'll talk about that next week as they've already caught Venko Seaman. Seaman is 3 laps down, but he is up to speed unless he's got more problems. We'll see. Looks like he is up to speed because he's flowed well with the leaders. As Emily Anderson still sits on pit road. Looks like Ponzo Albanese, not sure why he's off the pace. I don't see any damage to the Leaf Filter Chevrolet or the McDonald's Chevrolet of our outside pole sitter, Matty Crenshaw, but none of them did not need a poor finish here tonight. But as I said, it's only race 1 of the season. Yep, Jacob Foster has lost the draft. Cody Majoric's already got more damage, already had damage to the deal. Daniel Wooder, not the start of the season she would have liked. A cycle of pit stops hurt a number of drivers in the process. That's probably why we have a strung out field. So those drivers that stayed out longer, that gamble did not pay off. Unfortunately, that gamble came back to haunt them. Coming to near 10 laps of racing to go here at Daytona. And with the exception of the 62 and the 84, any of our chartered drivers that win would lock themselves a spot into the playoffs. Jesse running in 23rd. That would be Sean's younger sister. Not a good run for Brittany White, who won one of the dual races yesterday, 25th. Right now, the 37 drivers all on the lead lap, 41 still in this race. And Emily Anderson, the only driver that will not reach the conclusion due to whatever the issue was on that 60 car. She will finish in the 42nd position. Already down to 9 laps of racing to go here at Daytona. I have a feeling Albinus or Jacob Foster or possibly Matty Crenshaw could play a factor in who's going to win this race. Because Jacob's running like 13 miles an hour slower than the leaders. Anthony Ritchie, if he goes to victory lane, it would lock him into the All-Star race. It would not, however, lock him into the playoffs because remember, he is a go-or-go-home driver. Keep that in mind. Jessica Parker, on the other hand, if she wins this race, she would make the playoffs, providing she remains in the top 30 in the points. But remember what we saw with Jackie Tang in the final ever Oreo Cup Series. It doesn't matter if you have 1 win. It doesn't matter if you have 5 wins. If you're not in the top 30 in the points when the regular season checker flag waves, you will not bow for the chase for the championship. I know people don't like this winning you're in situation. And I have to explain to them, well, it doesn't matter how many wins you have if in the first 26 races. The last 10 races you got to perform. And then people will say, well, this format is a joke. No, it's not. It's just called people, you have to have common sense. You know, because I really don't care what my opinion is on the system. It's just we have the system that we have right now. We have to deal with it and move on. It's not rocket science. As they're almost about to lap the 2 drivers. Hate that for our outside pole sitter who had a good start to this race, was in the top 5 before that cycle of pit stops killed her. I think we're going to be catching Jacob Foster very soon because if he's running about 15, 20 miles an hour slower than these leaders, I have a pretty bad feeling that could play a factor in who's going to win this race. Next time by will be 6 laps of racing to go. Of course, the 4 car is second in line, but that's not for position because remember, the 4 car is 4 laps down. As here comes the 4 to try to get one of his laps back. But like I said, that's not for position. But Carmen Alejandro, that is for position. As Carmen will now take this lead. Next time by will be 5 laps of racing to go in the Daytona 500. Carmen knows a win will put her in the All-Star race. For the charter teams, a win for you. You are going playoff racing, providing you remain in the top 30 in points. Samad Ozkan, he has a chance to win this race. Remember, Summit started at the rear of the field. He didn't have a good qualifying effort on Monday. Yesterday did okay in the dual races. And now looking for his first win of his Foster's career. Don't forget A McShane. She could possibly get a win to get in the playoffs. But we're catching Jacob Foster. That's the problem. As Albanus and Crenshaw have dispatched the Progressive Chevrolet, he could play a factor who's going to win this. Remember, he has slight damage on that nose because remember, he ran the back of Cody Majoric. Now the leaders have got to make a decision. Looks like they're going to go by Jacob on the inside. But here comes Troy Kang to the lead. Troy Kang would like to become an international winner of the 500. As Arena got held up. They've also caught Matty Crenshaw and Ponzo Albanus as we're coming to 3 to go in the 500. Of course, Troy Kang would have a lead, but remember at Daytona, it doesn't matter how big your lead is, you're a sitting duck. And speaking of Majoric, they're about to catch him. As Ponzo Albanus goes a lap down, Matty Crenshaw will go a lap down. Arena McShane is coming. Because remember, Cody Goforth is going to play a factor in this race. Where is Goforth going to go? The inside. That's not going to do Arena McShane any good. We're going to hit that number, and it's 2 laps to go. Oh, Majoric pulled up in front of his teammate. Oh, no. That could be bad news at Spire Motorsports. Those two are teammates. Arena McShane is going to take the lead. Someone has kicked up some dust. I don't know who it is. Someone has kicked up dust. I don't know who it belongs to. It might have been Brittany White because I see her tumbling through the running order. And it is Brittany White. Ah, no. Oh, the engine is let go. Ah, no. So Brittany White will not see the checker flag. And we're coming to the white flag. Oh, by the way. White flag, one more time around Daytona, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Got no lap traffic. That's going to play an interference. Here comes Jessica Parker. Don't count out Emmanuel Hartnett. If a charter driver wins, they're going to the playoffs, providing they stay in the top 30 in points. A non-charter wins, it's not going to do the playoffs any different. I think Jessica Parker's going to hold them off through 3 and 4 for the final time in the Great American Race. Does Anthony Ricci have a move? Yes, here they come, side by side. Ricci, Parker, it's Parker. Jessica Parker beats Anthony Ricci to win the final ever Daytona 500 in the Foster Series. Holy macaroni and cheese with Parmesan Reggiano. I know that sounds weird, but we're going with that nevertheless. Wow. And no cautions. Good night, me. That was a fun race. Anthony Ricci will get second. William Davis in third. Emmanuel Hartnett will get fourth. Samad Ozkan fifth. Mohammed Zain sixth. Arena McShane seventh. Carmen Alejandro, Ashlyn Wright, and Senor Sean will complete the top 10. That cycle of pit stops played a big part in who was going to win this race. Some drivers that stayed out all the way to lap 40 did not pan out for them as you look on down to the remainder of the finishing results. A lot of drivers did not have the finishes they were hoping for. Carolina, Bradley, Daniel Gitteroth, that's a couple of Penske cars who we thought could have had a chance to win this race. They end up 27th and 28th. Jackie Tang was the last car to finish on the lead lap in 33rd. Maddie Crenshaw, not really sure what happened to her, as she apparently had an issue on pit road and ended up 34th. Alex Hawkins, he lost the draft. He never recovered, came home 35th. Ponzo Albanese had problems on his pit stop in 36. Jacob Foster ran it back at Cody Majork, who, by the way, finished in 39th. Not sure who Cody Majork ran in the back of, but that's a tough break for him. Brendan Rogers, same deal with Alex Hawkins. He lost the draft, never was able to recover, came home in 38th. Vanko Seaman was the last car to run in 41st. That's a tough break for him. Brittany White did not reach the conclusion. Looks like a mechanical failure. We don't know what the issue was on her machine. And Emily Anderson apparently had a fuel issue or some time, because when she came back in the pit, she did not return back out on the track. And unfortunately for her, she will finish in the 42nd position. So some of these big names that did not have good results, this is only race one of a 36 race schedule. But for some drivers like Jessica Parker, big confidence for her. Jessica Parker not only becomes the first rookie to go to victory lane this season, becomes the first rookie to win the Daytona 500 since its inception of the Rookie of the Year honors back in 2011, and makes it a female win for for consecutive races in the 500. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race from Daytona. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew today. We've shown your full finisher results. Your points are the exact same as your official finishing results. We'll see you guys next week at the Nazareth Super Speedway. And now for our studio engineer, that is the YouTuber. I'm D DeVoles. Thank you for joining me and saying good night from Daytona International Speedway. We congratulate Jessica Parker and Hendrick Motorsports on winning the Great American Race. Coming up next, it's your local news already in progress. We'll talk to you next week from Nazareth. You've been watching the PCSRA Foster Series on the World Racing Association's Multimedia Network.